I'm currently training for 10 iron distance triathlons in 10 days in 10 cities, and in today's video, let's test my current fitness levels across the week. Testing my lifting, my swimming, my cycling, and my running with a few additional training sessions thrown in along the way. If you want to see what my training, nutrition, and preparation process is going to look like, then make sure to hit subscribe. The first thing to mention is that I am currently 94 kilos, or 207 pounds, and my primary focus at the moment is getting lighter and leaner to become more efficient for such an audacious triathlon goal. Let's get into the other metrics. Session number 1 of the week, squat, bench, and deadlift testing. Okay, kicking things off with my bread and butter, lifting heavy barbells. A lot of travel to manage this week on top of this testing, so making sure to stay mobile, my usual low volume but high specificity warm-up, and it's worth mentioning that I haven't done a huge amount of back squatting since recovering from a stress fracture in my hip in May. Plenty of front squats, some deadlifts, and some unilateral work as I focus my efforts on the Husafell stone, which I managed successfully recently, and you should go and watch the video. It's pretty cool. I'm quite biased, but yeah, it's sick. Cheers. Warm-ups feeling good, and decided to call it a day at a relatively smooth 4-plate squat. Happy days. On to bench press, which I've been doing plenty of recently amidst injury recovery, and is as fact as good as it has been for years. Same warm-up pattern with a real focus on making every warm-up rep fast, replicable, and routinely executed to prepare for my top single. 130 felt good, so loaded 145 kilos as a conservative top set, given I was handing myself out and didn't have a spot, plus was kind of between rack heights, so it was a bit awkward to get the bar out. I recently benched 152.5 kilos for a RPE 113 single for reference, but had a handout for that one. Pleased with how that moved, all things considered. On to deadlifts, working my way up a plate at a time, again focusing on speed and execution. Nudging the bar forward ever so slightly on the left-hand side before initiating each pull, which is something to work on, given I'm a little bit out of practice with deadlifting, but all in all, pleased with how these were moving all the way up to 5 plates. Job done, 1,200 pound total, and holding on to the infamous combo of a 3-plate bench, 4-plate squat, and 5-plate deadlift. Triathlon hasn't made me weak yet. Let's see how much of this I can hold on to over the next 5 months. Session number 2 of the week, CSS testing, or critical swim speed testing. Let's go. Given getting footage in a pool is considered as illegal as robbing a bank naked, we're going to use some generic swimming footage to break down today's testing. A critical swim speed test is a simple way to measure your swim fitness. It estimates the pace per 100 that you would maintain during a maximal 1500 meter time trial. For this test, I'm hitting a maximal 400 and 200 time trial within the same session with a 5-minute recovery in between. I hit the 400 meters in 6 minutes and 10 seconds and the 200 meters in 2 minutes and 57 seconds, which gives me a CSS of 1:37 per 100 meters. And using a 5-zone system, this is where my new swim speed training zones land. Really pleased with this, as it equals an 8-second improvement on my last test in June. Swimming is feeling good at the moment, and volume hasn't yet become too intimidating, so it's great to see such an improvement. Session number 3 of the week. I am back at the track for the first time since early May, late April, perhaps. I am dreading this because these are always very, very hard, but what's going to be interesting is the fact that I haven't really done any sort of tempo or speedier work on my feet yet, having recovered from a stress fracture. The key thing today is going to be seeing how aerobic conditioning from the bike and some running volume since recovering is going to stack up in terms of my lactate heart rate threshold. So, without any further ado, unfortunately for me, let's see what happens. Ooh. Okay, so 7,380 meters, data on the screen for you just here. Average pace 404 per K, average heart rate 174, max heart rate 187. Definitely went out a little bit hot, as is tradition with this sort of test, especially when you are deconditioned. Always recommended to have a chest heart rate strap on so that you get more accurate data. Let's head back to process this data and actually get my LTHR results. So, to determine lactate threshold heart rate, I'm hitting a 30-minute max effort run, and then once I hit 10 minutes, I hit lap on my watch or heart rate monitor, and the average heart rate from this final 20 minutes is my LTHR result. My average pace came in at 4 minutes and 4 seconds per kilometer, and my LTHR came in at 174 beats per minute. What do we do with this information? We establish training zones, which are on screen just now. I'm really pleased with this given return from injury and without hitting any speedier work at all recently. Definitely felt lack of conditioning to that harder effort and that speedier work that I've been missing, but hey, we will build from here, and a great starting point it is indeed. If you're doing this test yourself at home, make sure to wear a chest heart rate strap to increase accuracy. Hello, good morning, and welcome to session number 4 of the week, which is unfortunately an FTP test. So I've got the tri-bike set up on the turbo down here in London. I've got Training Peaks Virtual up on the screen behind me. I've got a playlist that is going to decimate my eardrums, and I'm going to keep talking to you guys for as long as I possibly can to avoid getting started. My usual FTP test ritual. Few things to note. That is the tri-bike that I'm going to start doing a lot more volume on ahead of 2026 as I start to build my volume in an aero, more efficient, more specific position. And I ride a shorter crank length on that, different positioning on it, which means that my FTP test logically will be slightly different to what it would be on a road bike, which I have tested recently. So I'm interested to see what the result is on this. I'm feeling very aerobically conditioned. I'm feeling very sustainable and robust on the bike over long distances at the moment, but I am keen to see where my FTP is, because if I can bring up that ceiling, then I'll be in a good position. Blast off! As if an FTP test wasn't bad enough, Erin forgot to plug the microphone in, which you'll see soon enough. Ramp tests are funny, because they're not that bad until they are. And wow, they are. Increasing watts for a minute at a time until you break. Simple as that, really. At this point, I was waffling about how tough it was, but how pleased I was, and how sweaty I was, etc, etc, etc. You can use your imagination, as we have no audio here. And again, a huge increase from my last test in June, where I managed 260 watts as my FTP result. It was a little bit inhibited still by injury, where I couldn't sort of output maximum power through my left-hand side, but still, really, really good to see such a noticeable and measurable improvement since June. I got an estimated FTP of 300 watts, which is very, very exciting, and might actually be the highest I've ever had recorded on the tri-bike before my prep really ramps up, which is very exciting. And that rounds off today's FTP test. Hello, good morning, and welcome to Richmond Park. I have just hit a 45-kilometer ride that was meant to be a 90-kilometer ride, but oh my goodness, I feel absolutely destroyed. Whether it is the fact it is my first ride on this thing outdoors since September 2022, whether it is the cumulative effect of a demanding testing week, whether it is the cumulative effect of a lot of travel and disrupted sleep this week, or whether it is the direct effect of an FTP test that absolutely buried me yesterday, I'm not quite sure, but I do know that it was windy and demanding out there as well, and I felt pretty rusty on this thing. Nonetheless, wasn't the ride that I was looking for, but it was the ride that I got, and I'm pleased to have been outdoors on a phenomenal day like today on the 1st of November in the UK. Unbelievable scenes, so really did enjoy that. Wasn't quite as much as I was hoping for, but glad to have been out on this thing. Hopefully, at least once before the end of the year, but you know, this being the UK and all, might be the first and only time this year. So good night's sleep tonight, decent bit of food, and tomorrow is a swim and a run. So I'll see you there, but not before a hub check. Wow. Cool, man. You joined me about 8k deep into my Sunday long run. I've already swam this morning, data on the screen for you just now, and data from this run just here. Feeling really efficient today, which is great because I did not feel efficient at all yesterday, but overall, really positive baseline testing week. Definitely had some fatigue ramp up towards the end of it, but in a great place overall. The main focus now is weight loss. Trying to get as efficient as I can with the fitness and the data I've got. Trying to improve those metrics over time, obviously, but by losing 8 to 10 kilos, which is the aim, it's ambitious, but that's the aim, I can just become so much more efficient. Run complete, and in fact, week complete. Thank you if you have made it this far. I'm very pleased with how that felt, 520 per K, average heart rate 134. Efficiency is on the up, which is exactly what we are looking for. Drink every time I say the word efficiency, and you will be in a world of trouble. Oh my goodness, it's my dogs and my wife. Hello. Would you mind leaving so I can finish my outro? So yes, that is the week. Very positive testing week, and I've really enjoyed sharing that with you. I am going to aspire to do more full weeks of training. It's been like 3 or 4 years since I've done one. They are very difficult to film amidst any travel weeks, any big training weeks, anything where the business is quite demanding, but things are looking quite structured and manageable for the next couple of weeks, months, which is great. So I'm going to try and film as much as I can, starting tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, I have a meeting with potentially the most exciting brand possible for ownership and involvement in Project Tenacity, which is exciting, so wish me the best of luck. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed that. Please do remember to hit the like button down below, hit subscribe, and drop a comment whilst you're in the region. Adios.